But we're going to move on to our next kind of game that we're looking at for week 2. Colts, the Broncos. And the Broncos got the win. Colts lose to the Lions. This one's simple for me. How much longer can Andrew Luck carry this team? Like, it's just ridiculous at this point. The guy throws for almost 400 yards. He was like, 15 yards away from doing that. 4 touchdowns, no INTs. He was only sacked 2 times, even though that offensive line is complete shite. No run game. Frank Gore only got 60 yards. You need more production out of him. It's just, when are the Colts going to get it that we need to help this guy out? We need to help him because the defense totally let that game go.
It's not even really when are the Colts going to figure out that they need to help Andrew Luck. It's when are the Colts going to figure out that just having an absolutely incredible quarterback is not enough. Because for all the time they had Peyton Manning, they only got 1 Super Bowl. That's a joke.
It's a poorly run. It's because it's a poorly run organization.
Yeah, I say the same thing about the
Jim
Green Bay
Irsay's
Packers.
an idiot.
The Green Bay Packers are the same thing. The Green Bay Packers have 2 of the best quarterbacks in NFL history in the last couple decades, and they have 2 Super Bowls to show for it. 1 for Brett Favre, 1 for Aaron Rodgers. That's a joke. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Whereas you look at teams like the Patriots, look how many Super Bowls they have with Tom Brady.
We just talked about the Steelers.
We just talked about the Steelers. Look at just the Broncos. Look at just John Elway with Peyton Manning alone. 2 Super Bowls, 1 win.
Yep, exactly.
He went to as many Super Bowls with Peyton Manning in 3 years that Peyton went to his whole time in Indy.
You just
and
can't,
had the same results.
You just can't rely on having a great quarterback who can make everybody else better.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work to have only that. And the Colts never give their quarterback enough. I mean, the 1 Super Bowl that Peyton Manning did win with the Colts, obviously he had a great supporting cast. That's one of the reasons why he was able to get that Super Bowl. Right now, Andrew Luck does not have that great supporting cast. I mean, T.Y. Hilton and Dorsett, those are your great, wide receivers. You have Frank Gore out there for your running back.
And I don't want to take anything away from that Peyton Manning Super Bowl win, but you could say arguably if the Bears have a better quarterback, that defense helps them win that Super Bowl.
It probably should have. It probably should have if Rex Grossman didn't unleash the dragon.
Because that defense was the best defense we've almost ever seen in Chicago since '85.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And it's just the thing is, I don't know what the Colts are doing. I don't know what the thought process is. I hope that Andrew Luck, as smart as the man is, I hope he's smart enough to at some point realize shit's got to change. Because the unfortunate thing, when you got a guy like Andrew Luck who can carry this team into the playoffs year after year, which is what Andrew Luck's going to do, he's going to get this team into the playoffs constantly, and they're just not going to be good enough to compete with the top dogs.
Is this year the different year, though? Because you've got Texans look pretty... I know that they played a Bears team that's going through, as Rankin talked about in his game reaction, some growing pains, but... You kind of look at the Texans looked pretty solid.
Good. That defense is scary.
The Jaguars look solid in the loss.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
And the Titans exist.
Yeah, the Titans are there. But you saw some pretty good teams right there in the same division as the Colts.
Yeah, but I think that the Colts always are going to be that team that's around, whether it's wild card or division. They do have some tough opponents out there, but I still think Andrew Luck went out through 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. The guy's going to go out there and he's going to play. It just happens that Matthew Stafford went out there and fucking willed his team to a victory, dragging their asses into the end zone.
It kind of reminded me of that game his rookie season when he busted his shoulder against the Browns. And he said, no, I'm good. Let me have one more, and just fucking unleashed it. That's what it reminded me of. You have the throw to Ebron, and Ebron doesn't get out of bounds, and Stafford's just look drilling it in his head.
Get the fuck out of bounds.
And that's what he does. He says, get out of bounds. And then he had to do it again with another receiver where he's just get out.
It's just, That's what I'm saying. I mean, that team did not want to win. They are the Detroit Lions. They don't want to win games.
History doesn't want them to win.
0-16, baby.
Yeah. Well,
0-16.
If you're the Lions, are you hoping the Rams go 0-16 in L.A.? So people talk about that more because it's the first
I don't
time
know.
back
They
in
really
LA.
could. By the way they were looking, they really could go for it. But you know what? My own Chicago Bears don't look that far from it if you just look at the second half of that game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay, Rams fans. I'm right there with you. But it's just, yeah, I mean, if they did not have Matthew Stafford out there, who is... I don't want to say he's an underrated quarterback, but he's definitely not gotten the love that he probably deserves because of Megatron leaving right now. But he still
and they
went
also
out there.
They had a huge performance from Theo Riddick. Not necessarily rushing the football, but as a receiver out of the backfield.
I mean, 108 total yards. But if he's not going against a guy like Matthew Stafford, who because of Megatron retiring has gotten kind of unloved, the Colts would have won that game.
Yeah, but now he's got to go up against arguably a tougher defense in Denver.
Yes, definitely.
Who we saw go for the head, or was that just because they were going up against Cam Newton?
But Andrew Luck still does well against. He's done well against the Denver Broncos defense in the past. I assume he's going to do well again.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where is this team built enough? And I know you're probably saying, well, Ricky, the offense will be fine because he'll will it, but the interesting thing I look at is that defense against Trevor Siemian, because to me, Trevor Siemian did not look that impressive. He wasn't Dak Prescott bad, but he wasn't that impressive.
I don't think Dak Prescott didn't do bad. He just did okay.
Can I go on a little rant about
Dak Prescott
really
was
quick?
Just like 110% average.
Can I go on a little Dak
Sure,
rant?
knock yourself out.
My biggest concern with Dak Prescott, my biggest criticism, you're not going to fucking win football games when you're throwing crossing routes over the middle that go for about 15 to 20 yards at the most to Cole Beasley. You've got to push the ball down the field, and you got to find Des Bryant. That's what you have to do.
You're just upset because he's on your fantasy team.
No. It has nothing to do.
It has everything to do with
screw it. Push the ball down the field with Cole Beasley. I don't give a shit. You got to push the ball down the field, though. You can't do crossing routes. Give it to your running back. Don't get as much as you thought he would.
That's not the quarterback's choice, though.
But
he's not audibling out of there. He doesn't have control of the play.
You can push the ball down the field as a quarterback. And every time there was pressure in his face, only completed one pass. I believe he was 1-9 when he was pressured.
I don't want to get the blame on. I don't think Dak Prescott did well in that game. He was just 110% average.
I'm not saying he was absolutely terrible, but you will not win games if you dink and dunk the ball down the field like
that's
they
Jason
did.
Garrett, though. That's Jason Garrett
like
doing
they
that.
did, and that's
not. I don't want to blame Dak Prescott.
Then
on
I'd
that.
go, and also as a quarterback, Tony Romo knows this. And I'm not saying this because he's on my fantasy team. I'm saying it because of the mentality the dude's got in his head.
Tony Romo's on your fantasy team?
I'm talking about Des Bryant.
Okay, good.
You got to get the ball to Des Bryant more than you did, because if Des checks out of the game, he's going to be a cancer on that sideline, and you don't want that. You got to get him the ball more than one reception. That's my Dak rant. I'm done. Back to Trevor Siemian.
Yeah, the rookie's got some things to learn. And at the same time, I think to just wrap up the Cowboys talk that we got right now, Jason Garrett's got to let the boy play. He's got to let him go out there and play because they didn't let him play. They would have lost to the Giants anyways because Eli Manning, better known as Equal Manning, he's on a mission this year.
Well, they push the ball down the field more than the Cowboys do.
Well, they got some great receivers out there. They're going to use them. But when it comes to Trevor Siemian, obviously he's playing a much worse defense than he just played in Carolina. But still, they didn't really...
I don't think he's the answer. And really...
They didn't do enough. I mean, C.J. Anderson is the reason why they won that game. C.J. Anderson kicked ass.
I don't even think C.J.'s the reason they won that game.
They could not stop him if they wanted to.
He's not the reason they won that game.
They kicked ass.
You want to know the reason they won that game?
Why?
Graham Gano couldn't hit the field goal. That's the reason they won. If Graham Gano didn't kick that first field goal and was like, you're going to ice me, I'm not going to kick it, I'm going to save it, he would have made it, they would have won that game.
Yeah, kickers are an interesting bunch, but no, I'm going to give. I know C.J. Anderson was the guy who missed it, but they would not have even been in the position to win that game if it wasn't for C.J. Anderson. The man deserves his credit. He deserves his cake. Give him his cake, Ricky. So, I just don't think that Trevor Siemian, a guy who, throws 2 interceptions in the game, I don't think that, he threw a touchdown, but 2 interceptions in the game. I don't think that it's going to be that much better against the Indianapolis Colts, who have a bad defense. Maybe he'll look fine. Mm-hmm. He'll look Dak Prescott level of just average, because I do think Dak at least performed better than Trevor Siemian. But Andrew Luck just, he needs help. He's got to beg his organization to do something to give him help. But what I was getting at a while ago is when you're a player who can drag your team into the playoffs, whether they want to be there or not,
like Andrew Luck,
your front office isn't going to change anything because it's good enough to make money. And your head coach, he's not going anywhere because you keep winning him seasons.
Well, and that's what it is. And with the Colts, it's Chuck Pagano is
should have got fired last year.
Should have been fired, but he's not because the team, like last year was, well, you didn't have Andrew Luck. That's why you didn't make the playoffs. And guess
he's
what?
letting the team.
The Colts are probably going to get into the playoffs this year, barely.
I don't want to blame Chuck Pagano for the state that the Colts are in.
No, that's Jim Irsay.
Yeah, that's not his fault. But,
But if Pagano doesn't have Andrew Luck, he's not making the playoffs as much as he does.
And it's just a shame.
And the best year the Colts had with Andrew Luck arguably was the Bruce Arian year. Mm-hmm. And I know that's nothing. You can't hold that against Chuck Pagano because it wasn't his fault that he wasn't on the sideline. But then you let that coach walk and look at what Bruce Arians is doing in Arizona. I know that Chicago is still feeling the pain from not bringing the hat to Chicago.
We'll see what happens with John Fox. Not willing to say we're feeling the pain yet. I got to wait this season out before I feel the pain.
But the last thing I wanted to mention with this kind of Colt Bronco discussion is I find it funny after one game that the Broncos only won because the other team missed a field goal, had nothing to do with the other quarterback actually winning the game. As soon as the game ended, we got comments on our Broncos video from the September 5th podcast where one was 4 wins, though. At least we won the first one. Or you were saying, or so what? Dumb no name, blah, blah, blah. You do realize that A, you won on luck. B, it's the first game of the season. And the analogy I'm going to use, and this has nothing to do with what happened in the game, the Niners won the first game of the season last year. How'd their season end up?
And this year.
Not that good.
Yeah.
Last year it didn't, but last year, because we know their end win total,
yeah, for sure,
didn't end up so good. So
I just
don't
think
get too cocky.
You do have to remember, of course, I mean, C.J. Anderson was great, but you do have to remember that currently your quarterback, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, under 200 yards.
That's not that good.
No, you're not happy with that. You're not happy
That's
with
not that good. That's not that good.
I watched that game, and I'm like, yeah, they won, but Paxton Lynch, that week 4, maybe? Like, I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, Paxton Lynch is going to be in this game a lot sooner than we thought. Same thing with, of course, Jared Goff. He's going to be in here a lot sooner than we thought because Case Keenum was shit in that game. I mean, the whole team was shit.
That team can't do anything.
Nobody is good in that team. If anybody could dare compete for the Lions' 0-16 record, it's that team right there.
After seeing that game, it confuses me how Jeff Fisher still has a job.
He should not have a job.
It confuses me how he has a job.
It's just the popular, conversation right now that Jeff Fisher shouldn't have the job, but the man's complete mediocrity. We've been talking about that a lot so far today, but yeah, I mean, in 20 years, 110% mediocre. I mean, he's some 7-9 bullshit, really. Some 7-9 bullshit.
Well, the only thing he's got to me, to hang his hat on is that Titan Super Bowl run.
That they lost.
That the big reason why they made it to that game was the Music City Miracle. That doesn't happen, the Bills win that game.
Yeah.
So really it's that play, and I know what you're saying. Well, Ricky, in some playoff runs and great seasons, you got to have some luck to go along with things. But just to put the final kibosh on this Colts-Broncos discussion, how do you see this game pulling out in week 2? What do you see happening between Andrew Luck and the Colts, Trevor Siemian and the Broncos?
Yeah, I think that Trevor Siemian's not going to do that great. I think he'll do better, but I don't think he's going to do great.
Even though this defense isn't as tough as he played in week 1?
No, nowhere near as tough. But, Trevor Siemian's just not going to wow anybody. The thing I was saying about him when we talked about him, maybe a couple podcasts ago or last podcast, is that he's just not good enough in any one category to really rely on anything. He's just at the average all across the board. The thing that they need is they honestly need to at some point say, we're biting the bullet. Here's Paxton Lynch. We drafted him in the first round. At least he's got upside. Let's see what we got. Because I can guarantee you, I know the Denver Broncos fans are feeling good about their life right now, but you guys aren't going to the playoffs with this.
Well, there's
with
a
that
lot of
quarterback
I
out there.
told you so's right now.
Yeah.
Coming from Bronco Nation. But guess what? I just looked it up for sure because I forgot how many wins the Niners had in total. And the Niners beat my Vikings last year on the first game.
They killed them.
And they still only won 5 games. So
Yeah.
there's still a chance that you guys only win 4 games this year.
Yep. I mean, we can just look at the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Their incredible, 7-win run? They kicked ass at the end of the season. It's week 1 right now. Let's calm down. Paxton Lynch is going to be in here, before halfway through the season because Trevor Siemian's not holding that job.
No, he's not. And I think that
It would take a very, very stubborn, John Elway for him to hold that job. Extremely stubborn.
I would like to say the Colts get this win this week, but it's going to be a harder road. This could be a game where we see like Seahawks Dolphins, where it's like low scoring. No one's able to do anything because the Bronco offense is anemic because of Trevor Siemian. And then
I do think
Andrew
that
Luck can't
C.J.
do
Anderson's
anything.
going to continue kicking ass, though.
Yeah, but do the Broncos eventually, and this is a thing they brought up on the Thursday night broadcast, do teams eventually start doing what Belichick would do? Fuck it, I'm just going to load the box, have you play between the hashes because your quarterback can't throw down the field.
Yeah, I think they could. The unfortunate part is, of course, what's going to happen with Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, those type of guys out there. They can make a quarterback look a little bit better. If they're out there, if they're playing well, if they're healthy, they can make a quarterback look better. But I don't know how much they're going to be able to do because, like I said, Trevor Siemian is 110% average. I'm ready. Just put Paxton Lynch in there. Just do it.
Just see
Go
what the
for it.
future's got.
I mean, you can't do that when the guy just, was part of a win. But things start going downhill, I think you might do it. But I do, of course, I think that the Denver Broncos probably are going to beat the Colts because the Colts defense is shit. So unless Andrew Luck goes out there and scores in like 2 minutes every single time he gets out there.
Unless he scores like 4 or 5 touchdowns, 6 maybe.
But it's just Denver's defense is too good. I don't know if I see it happening. He's going to get hit a lot in that game.
Well, and Colt Bronco fans and anyone listening, you guys tell us down below what you guys think about this game. Who's going to get the win? Who's going to get the loss? And what do you see for both the Colts and the Broncos?